Afternoon, everyone. This is Valencia Stovall, Honorable Valencia Stovall, and welcome to season 7. May the 2nd is our date for today's episode. So you're listening to the new WCEG network, WCEGTalkRadio.com. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Now, this disclaimer says the topics and opinions that are those of the show hosts and guests and not of WCEG Network. Like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at WCEG _talk _radio or at WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support and also tell a friend. Well, we pause today as always for peace in this world. We're still involved with the war. You could say not directly, but indirectly, we are. And so we are asking for God to give our leaders wisdom to make sure that they're making the best decision for us here in the USA. And you know, whenever there's a war, there are always casualties and disruptions. So that's why we need God's peace for us, and not just here in the US, but internationally and nationally. All right, so you know, today is May the 2nd, and it is Monday, starting of our early voting across the state. Every aspect of your life is affected by policies that are in place by the individuals you choose to elect to represent you, whether it's on the local level, whether it's on the state level, or whether it's on the federal level. And so your vote is your voice. And so don't continue to complain unless you're going to take action. And you only can take action by what? Going to vote. So, you know, I decided to return to politics. I was asked over and over again, you know, when are you going to go get back in? When are you going to be our representative again, our voice for things that we need? And so I decided to take up the mantle again by God's grace, and for Congressional District 5, which is the former seat that was held by the late Congressman John Lewis. And so you can visit my website, gostovall.com, for more information to see how you could be able to help support us on this race. And if you have not registered, it's too late to register for the May primary. So you could go and check your voter status at mvp.ga.gov. And you can also get a sample ballot and all of that. But so we're excited about today's show. It is about creativity, about family, about survival and justice reform. Our guest today is Renita Stanley Mitchell. And of course, she's no stranger to me. We're actually cousins, so we're blood related. And also one of my former customers when we had with the printing business. But her story is a story which many families are having to face. And it's nothing short of God's grace being on with her family. We will discuss today The Trenches, which is a fashion line, which is a versatile platform that was all about the individual lifestyle coming up in the trenches. And some of y'all may say the trenches. Yeah, so we're going to let Renita tell us about the trenches and why. How did this idea come about? It's meant to inspire people to find their own happiness without having to succumb to the norms of society. So I would like to welcome my guest this afternoon, Renita Mitchell, and we welcome her to Issues and Answers on WCEG Talk Radio. Hey, Renita, how's it going? Unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining me on WCG Issues and Answers to talk about the trenches. So we're going to jump right in because we want to make sure we have enough time for everyone to hear this story that is a powerful story and very inspirational as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you are connected to the trenches. And I see you have on one of the shirts.
Yes, I do. This is one of his T-shirts that he had made. They come in a lot of different assorted colors. But my name is Renita Mitchell, and thank you, Valencia, for having me on your show today. And I'm a mother of 7 kids. I've been married over 20 years. Rashad is my oldest son. He's 27. My youngest is 6. And I'm here to talk to you about his clothing line called The Trenches. Rashad started this business right out of high school. He graduated in 2016, and he created the logo as well as the brand name. And 2 years after high school, he opened up a clothing store. Now, let me take this back before I even mention the clothing store. He's always been, an entrepreneur, always wanting to, always said he wanted to start his own business, have his own money or what have you. So, about the age of 12, he wanted to cut the neighbor's lawn. So I purchased him a lawnmower. He would go out and cut the lawns or what have you. And that was exciting for him, having his own money. By the time he turned 16, he went to apply at the local Taco Bell. And actually, he started to go there before he turned 16, and they told him, no, you have to wait until you a certain age. And by the time he turned 16, he was hired. Rashad was not a problem child. He was an A-B honor roll student. I had no problems out of him. So, the situation with him being incarcerated is, really, it was a surprise to me. I purchased his first car at age 15 because he was an A-B honor roll student. I didn't have any issues with him. So, right out of high school, he opened up the clothing store. It was in 2015 of March. And he opened it off of Bankhead Highway. And for those that don't know, Bankhead is a high crime, low income area. And he did this all on his own, without my help, without his father's help. He saved his money from working at Taco Bell. And, he had a goal. He knew what he wanted to do. So, he set up the store. I would go in and make sure, the toilet area was clean, making sure he got soap and towels. And he's like, Mom, you don't need to worry about all that stuff. But, he was selling T-shirts and hoodies and just a lot of different items with his clothing logo on the items. And, one thing he told me was, what I'm noticing is it's hard to keep up with supply and demand. He would sell all these items and then he had to restock and pay for more items. And then on top of that, he was paying rent and utilities and all of this stuff straight out of high school, doing it on his own. And I did not assist him because my husband was like, well, he's a man now, let him be a man. But then, I also feel like if I had assisted him, like maybe given him, more financial assistance or just assisted him in that manner, would he have taken the turn that he had taken, being incarcerated? So around February of 2016, he and an accomplice robbed several gas stations. It was unarmed robbery of cigarette lighters and cigarettes. I kid you not, didn't make any sense, did not take any cash. He went to court and the person that was on the stand that worked in the store, she said he was the nicest criminal ever. Right. Now, how stupid it is. She's right. Saying, he was here to rob us, but, the other person putting cigarettes in the bags or what have you. But my son, Rashad, is asking her, are you okay? I'm sorry we're doing this. I just hope you're okay. And, just trying to calm her down. So, long story short, this happened over a period of 3 or 4 days, 3 different stores, cigarettes, lighters. And the last store they robbed out in Douglasville, less than 5 minutes from my house. And, that was just very disappointing. At this time, he was living with my mom. He was attending school at Atlanta Area Tech. He actually finished the school and got an auto mechanic certificate. He signed up for school on his own. Look, Rashad was just very independent. I didn't have to help him with hardly anything. So when I say this was very shocking to me, it was very shocking. Okay, so let's roll back to the day that he, was incarcerated or got caught or was arrested. So, he robbed this store, went on a high-speed chase through Douglasville to, Six Flags Road, got out of the car and started to run. The police followed him with their car. They hit him with the car. He broke his pelvic. He broke his neck. He was hospitalized over 3 months. Oh, Lord. And when I tell this story, I always think, that I'm stronger, and, people like, why are you not over it? He's been incarcerated 6 years, but for me, this was yesterday. This is my son. This is my first son, my oldest, and I don't want to start crying, but I had no contact with him for 3 months. All I knew was he was alive and he wasn't gonna die. But I knew his pelvic was broken, his neck was broken, and I had no contact with him. And I don't wish that on my worst enemy. I don't wish that on anybody. So, once he was, he started to heal or whatever, and they, sent him to the correctional facility. He was down at Calhoun Correctional Facility, and he called me. And my first question was, why did you do this to me? Like, it wasn't, you almost died. You almost could have got killed. It was like, why did you do this to me? I didn't see this coming. I gave you my all. I made sure that you was taken care of. You wasn't a needy kid. You wanted for nothing. And he said, Mom, it was nothing you did. It's nothing you could have not have done. He got caught up with the wrong crowd. He had that store up on Bankhead. He had different guys coming in or what have you. One thing led to another. And, that's something that he chose to do on his own. And he actually said that he did not remember the event. Excuse me, this is my fur baby Rocco, but he actually didn't remember the event because he was high on lean, which is prescription cough syrup, mixed with something else, as well as Xanax. So by the time, I guess he woke up at the hospital, he didn't remember a whole lot. But I said all that to say, Rashad has always been, very independent, wanting to do things on his own. And, I knew that he would, probably start his own business because he had been talking about it for a long time. So, again, when this happened, it was a shock to me.
Yeah. So that means that was a lot. Like you said, you didn't, sometimes some parents, as parents, you can't, your children, and the ones that stay in trouble all the time. And you say, okay, I better keep an eye out, on that particular one or those particular ones. But like you said, him being so responsible at such a young age and taking the initiative to want to be an entrepreneur, especially given the area, that he was living in, was just amazing by itself. And I guess the part that I was just so amazed about was his creativity. Did you see that as a young child, with him being so creative, being able to take nothing, take things that are nothing and make it into something like some of the things he's been able to do with designing of his clothing line?
Actually, no, I didn't see this creativity until he was incarcerated. Like I said, he started the business, he was making t-shirts and hoodies and things of that nature before he was incarcerated, but he didn't actually start it to design the clothing until he was incarcerated. So he would take things like the pillowcases, the bed sheets, they issued state correctional code and make pants out of those. If they had pants with the little rubber around the waist, he would cut that out and make like wristbands. So whatever scraps that he had available to him around the jail, that's what he would use. And he used a paper clip and dental floss to sew. So, he would make these items and trade it to other inmates for, store bags or, things that he may have needed. And he got in trouble after he went viral, but before he went viral, this is just something that he did on the regular. They were wearing it, they're not going anywhere. They just walking around the prison. He traded for a store bag or something. And, they would wear the items. And they just walking around like they on the outside. But, being a fashion designer. I would not have known that was something he wanted to do. This just sort of happened as he was incarcerated.
Wow. So, I mean, even just thinking about him saying, hey, I'm going to do something positive, even though I'm in a situation that is confining me, that I can't be free, but I'm going to, continue on with what my dream was. And I saw the video of the fashion show, and I was like, wow, how did he get the print and all that stuff on the, on the material that the inmates were actually using, wearing? And then when you said like he got in trouble, so what things how did they punish him for doing the fashion show? And was it because it went viral? Is that where the punishment came in?
Well, the first time he went viral was April of, I want to say 2019. And that was just a couple of clips of him showing the items he had made, out of the different resources he had in the prison. The second, the first time they gave him 30 days in solitary confinement. And, he didn't seem to think it bothered him. He said that gives him time to think, read his Bible, and, he's okay with being alone. Well, the second time, I'm the one that manages his social media, Facebook, Instagram, what have you. So, I uploaded this video just trying to get his business out, not knowing that it would cause him to have 9 months of solitary confinement. No way would I want my son to be in solitary confinement for 9 months. So imagine the guilt and the pain I felt after that happened. But long story short, I did post that video, not knowing it would go viral. It did. And I guess, the authorities saw it like the water and the people in the prison, and it really made them look bad. So what they did was give him 9 months of solitary, transferred him to another prison. They added charges onto his record, such as like an aid to escape, because the prison inmates, they said that they could wear those clothes and just walk out of the jail. Nobody would notice them because the clothing looked so, like street athletic wear. So, and aid and escape, having a cell phone, which they didn't find a cell phone. They only found a state issued tablet that they give them, all prisoners, state issued tablets. And the last charge, I'm sorry, I can't even think of the last charge, but once they transferred him to this prison with those charges, they decided to, okay, well, he got talent. Let's move him to another prison. And actually, the prison he was at was like 4 or 5 hours away. He's now like less than an hour away. So they moved him closer to home so that he can hone in on his designer skills. So he works in like a sewing facility making the correctional uniforms for the correction officers. So, I thank God they gave him a second chance, to showcase his skills, and, because he is very talented. But, the first time, like I say, he went viral, 30 days. The second time it was 9 months. No, we did not know that was going to happen. Like I say, I posted the video and it just went viral with over 1 million views.
Wow. Ooh. I can't say that I've ever heard of a situation like this. Not saying that I keep up on a lot of things, but just in general, just thinking about it. Usually when you think about someone that's incarcerated, like I said, and if they go to confinement, they're sent to solitary confinement, then it's usually for something violent that has taken place. But for something that's non-violent, he had 30 days, and then they said, okay, you didn't learn your lesson. We're going to give you 9 months. That's a long time for something that's non-violent for him to be able to go. So I'm glad to know that, they've given him a kind of like a restorative justice, so to speak. But just think of those 9 months that he was, locked up, away from people.
Right. Wow. So, but actually they did end up cutting that time in half once they sent him to the other facility. So I looked at that as a blessing as well, because they could have made him do the entire 9 months. That was their plan. The only issue with they did, by cutting that time in half, they did not remove that aid and escape charge, from his charge, and that could affect his parole. You can't have that type of charge when you come up for the parole board. So, I felt like, okay, well, you're giving him a second chance. You're moving him to this new facility where he can hone in on his skills. Why not remove this charge that, I mean, I guess they had to place that charge because it did look like normal streetwear, but he wasn't trying to escape. The back of the clothing all had Department of Corrections on them. So I don't know how they would have walked out of there with those items on.
Yeah, and especially like you said, somebody had to know something. It wasn't like it was quietly kept, as far as that. And even them looking at the design, they know that, okay, no, that couldn't have came from outside coming in, and then, them being able to go out. I think that might, just my opinion, a way of, just like you said, I think just trying to teach them a lesson. But I definitely hope that, and if anybody that's in the prison system or on the parole board is listening, I don't know who all listens to the show, but that needs to be taken into consideration, because I think this will be a great opportunity to be able to show that even though you go to prison, you don't have to be a lifetime commitment to you to stay there. And then even if once you get out, I could see him being able to be one, he probably won't be able to be because of him going to prison, but you as being part of the company, being able to be a federal contractor for designing, the items of the clothing that's, for those in prison, and they can even use it for the ones who do well. You get to wear this type of clothing. Then the ones who don't, you don't get to wear the designer, style clothing. But just for him having such a talent behind bars, I mean, like I said, I saw some of you all. What's the website that they can go to? So, because I want them to see some of the items and things that he's created. I know you have the items that you're currently selling, but like I said, when I saw the different colors in the fabric, and I'm like, how do you color all of that? And how do you design it? I mean, I'm just sitting there in amazement watching the video, about it. So tell everybody the website where they can go if they would like to help support. I know one of his goals was to, when he gets out, is to start a nonprofit.
Yes.
So give us the website and kind of talk to us a little bit about the nonprofit.
So the website is The Trenches, www.thetrenches.global. And his motto is location doesn't determine destination. So he does want to start a nonprofit and to maybe be a mentor or a speaker to at-risk kids so that they don't fall down the wrong path. He's been even behind bars right now. He's been employing, different teams or different, people with different skills on his team. So, he's incarcerated, but he runs his business, 100. Well, I'm not gonna say 100% because we help him, but he runs the business at least 80% by himself. And I have to tell him all the time, like, listen, I don't work for you. I'm your mom. I'm assisting you. So, that's something that, we laugh and joke about. But yes, he do want to open or we'll start a nonprofit organization. We have been giving back to the community. We gave back over 100 book bags last year around August. And that was a successful event, book bags and different student supplies. And again, this was his idea and he put all this together himself from, behind bars.
Wow. So, wow. I mean, that. And I know with it going viral, and you said about 1 million plus viewers. So how did it catch the national attention of shows like Wendy Williams, World Star, The Shade Room, and BET Breaks?
I think just by it going viral, all of those news media outlets got word of it. And, like you mentioned, he's been on Wendy Williams 4 different times. He sent her some clothing. She even showed those clothing on her show. She's even worn one of the hoodies, and we have pictures of that on the website as well. So, she really supports him, and, she's shouting him out. And, we're very thankful for Wendy because, she didn't have to do that. And, he really supports her even now with her situation with Wells Fargo holding her money and not giving her money. So what he did was create a petition for people to sign and in order for Wells Fargo to release her funds. So she supported him, he's supporting her, and that's just the way, he is. He wants to make her a specially designer dress or some type of shoes. And I think she mentioned on this show that he looks through the screen just to see what her measurements are and look at her style and what she likes. And so he's been sending me sketches home. He's always putting things together. Rashad is very detail oriented. He has a mind of his own. He has so many sketches and designs that he sent, I can't even keep up. The designs are from kids age 4 and up, all the way up to adults, for men, women, and children. And the size is for a 4-year-old on up, and for adults anywhere from a small to a 3X. So, we have a different size range, something to fit everybody. And not only is he doing clothing, he has different accessories, like hats and the mask, and he's now even thinking of doing household items, maybe a bean bag, towels and washcloths and bath robes. So he's not just keeping his Trenches brand just to, athletic clothing. He has a vision to really, expand. And when he first got started, he didn't even think he would be making tennis shoes, but he now has tennis shoes and boots, and, he's very creative, and, he has a whole lot of things out there that I didn't even think that he would do. So I'm proud of him. I love him. He has learned his lesson. He is ready to move on with his life. They gave him 20 years and he has to do 8. He's been incarcerated 6 years, so he does have 2 more years to go.
So, a story like this is something like when recently President Biden was pardoning a lot of people for different, crimes they had committed. And this is a story that I think definitely deserved a look into as was a pardoning of that sentence. And the reason I say that is because, what he did inside of the, to get there, of course, wasn't right. It was, even though he stole, but it wasn't a violent where he drew a gun or somebody, something like that. And then for the things that he has done while he's been incarcerated, with that type of creativity, that's a lot of inspiration for our young people. We see so much going on with them, don't have a vision, but him being able to say, yeah, I made the wrong turn. You don't want to make that turn. I just happen to be able to, an opportunity to maybe have a second chance. And being able to make money and being able to help support my brand while I'm, incarcerated. But you might not have the same opportunity. But so being able to even influence them on that measure, I think is enough, to me, when we talk about restorative justice, which is always a topic when it comes to justice reform. How do we restore people? He's not going to have to look for, go to a halfway house and try to figure out what he's going to do. He's not going to have to look for employment, wondering if somebody's going to hire him because of his background or, of being incarcerated. He's coming out an entrepreneur, ready to hit the ground, and can also be able to hire some of the ones that's getting out of prison who are looking. A lot of times employers don't want to hire people that are ex-offenders. So, it's so much that he could be able to offer, to that conversation of restorative justice that I think definitely warrants someone in a higher up position to definitely take a look at. And so is there anything else you wanted to share? Now, you said a mother of 7, which I know because, I keep up with you on Facebook. Every time I see somebody graduating, somebody has gotten honors. How is it that you and Lamont are able to manage a household of 7, run this business? He has his own business, and y'all keeping everybody on track. And how is it that you all are able to do that?
Well, I tell you, it's not easy, and it's by the grace of God. We can do all things through him. So, like you said, my husband has his own business, and all of the kids, we all pitch in and help with Rashad's business. So we don't have to outsource or pay anybody to, to assist with shipping and things of that nature. My son packages the items and takes them to the mail carrier. So, it is a big help having this big family because we have everybody. It's like a line. If you pass it down the line and the next person's packages, things of that nature. But The only challenge that I really foresee in assisting with the business while my son is incarcerated is really trying to get his vision correct the way he wants it, the way he wants it told, the way the materials and the design, the way he wants it to look. Because, I'm talking on the wall phone with him, and you got noise backgrounds and you send sketches, but then I don't understand this and that. So I think that's the biggest challenge right now, having to send that information over to China so that they can comprehend and have it exactly the way he wants it. Because I have sent things off for different samples and they sent it back and it was not right. And he's like, no, mom, I'm not selling that. That's not my vision. And I'm like, well, come on now, because I already spent some money. And he's like, no, that's not what it is. It's all about the trenches and the upbringing and where he came from. And, he just thinks that it just can be helpful to others just to show, where they came from. Don't make excuses, and your location does not determine your destination. And when you were saying about rehabilitation, I was listening because a lot of times, they say prison is supposed to be a form of rehabilitation, but it's not, because we know when they get out and felons are not able to obtain different employment. So I do think that is a plus, him starting his own business or maybe being able to employ others and give others a second chance, because a lot of them don't have that chance.
Yeah, most definitely. Now you have some people that are graduating. I know you had one graduated last year, and you had what number is the one that's graduating this year?
Well, I have four are going to be grown. So that's number 4. So my oldest is 27 and my youngest is 6. So I have 4 out the house and 2 still here. So I did have someone to graduate last year, and then I had another one to graduate this year. They're not twins, though. They were the same age, about 10 months apart. Long story. I don't want to talk about that.
No, we're gonna get into that.
But yes, it's like every year we got someone graduating.
Yes, and several of them I know decided to go to a 4-year college. So, that's just great. Like I said, I know it's been very stressful for you and Lamont, having to deal with this and everything that comes with having someone incarcerated. And then at the same time, you have to be mindful of your children that are there with you all, to make sure that they stay on the right pathway. And then, like you said, just dealing with everyday life with being parents, especially with everything that's going on with technology and how easily they can get caught up in those areas. So I definitely hats off to you and Lamont for doing a great job, and definitely by God's grace that we'll see Rashad back home sooner than later, so that he can be able to tell his own story. And we definitely want to hopefully invite him to the show to be able to tell his story and being able to hear, how, what happened behind the bars, and now what's his vision moving forward. Now that he's out, and the sky is the limit, but usually the sky is not the limit, because you can do the sky is almost infinite. So sometimes people say sky's the limit. And I thought about it the other day. I was like, why they say the sky's the limit? The sky don't even have a limit. So I don't know. But thank you so much, Renita, for joining us. Give us that website again, and now you all in the social media platforms. Give us that so we can make sure that we are that the people who are listening want to follow and support what you all are doing.
Okay, that website is www.thetrenches.global, and he does have an Instagram page at One Atlanta Santana. We also have a Facebook page at The Trenches. I don't think I mentioned, but he's actually gotten into writing different plays and movies. He's doing a lot of things because he got a lot of time on his hands. So he's trying to rap and writing plays and movies. So he's going to have a story to tell when he is released. And I want to thank you again for having me on your show.
No problem. Tell the family I said hello, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. Now we're, that was a great story. Us hearing from Renita on behalf of her son Rashad, and you heard her refer to him as Santana. So, AKA the artist Atlanta Santana. who, of course, Atlanta native. Well, you heard all the designs that he's come up with, his fashion line, but it's not even a fashion line. It's even gone beyond that. It's actually a movement with the called the trenches. So you all definitely go and check out the website. You'll be able to see a lot of the stories that were articles that were written up about him, even a video that's on there. And you heard me mention earlier about the Wendy Williams show, and she talked about her even wearing his clothing line on her show. And then he's a world star, some information, the Shade Room and BET Breaks and so many others. So, we have young people that have made mistakes that, we're not always proud of. But when you see them trying to get on the right track and the right pathway, then we have to support them. And, and even me going to serving in Congress, one of those areas is making sure that we have the right justice reform. And so, thinking about the 9 months, even though he didn't serve all of them in confinement, we need to make sure that we're able to support those individuals as they become back into being back a part of society. And what he's doing and being able to come out and be an entrepreneur, that is powerful, because so many people that are released from prison or jail, a lot of them don't, if they have a felony, they're not able to get employment like all of us. And even some of their rights have not restored. They have to make sure that they're restored after they serve their time. One of them is voting. So if you are an ex-felon and you served your time, you can get your rights restored for you to be a registered voter again. And that's important because guess what? You've seen what it is to be behind bars. Your family has seen it. And if that means electing people that's going to be knowledgeable and concerned about what's happening behind the bars, and even once you get out, making sure you get on the right path. So we thank Renita for that. So now we're going to go into our announcements, and then I have to do my Say What segment. Yes. So special recognition I want to give to the students' voices that conducted the Georgia Candidate Forum, and they were actually high school seniors. I was so impressed. Some of the kids, with one of the organizations I was very familiar with, the FCCLA, and then they were accompanied with Change for Hope organization, and that Change for Hope, and then you had KBCE and TV. So it was live streamed. The event was live streamed, and Empire Board of Realtors, their Women Council, and you could, if you want to go back and check out what the questions those young people were asking us, some of us were sweating on the stage, just wondering what kind of questions they were going to ask. And so if you go to kbcentv.com, you can actually find out, look for that student candidate forum that was done. And actually, those students did an outstanding job. And I said, looking at the future, if those are our future leaders, then we're going to be in good shape. But we can't just have just a few of the students. We have to make sure that all of them are understanding about civics and how important civics is and why it should be taught, not only in school, but us as parents have to make sure that we are teaching our children about civics and about why policies are important. It's one of the reasons why, I do issues and answers, because we want to provide answers to those issues. And it starts with our young people. So much is going on with crime with them that we have to have those programs and opportunities out there. So many of them are so talented. Working with a lot of the high school students I've been able to meet over the years, and just watching, like one of the students, I didn't realize he was a part of the forum. His name is Evan. Well, he's in 12th grade now. So in his 9th grade year, myself, Dr. Falami, Arvis Walker, who was the PTSA president at Forest Park at the time, and also Georgia Wildlife Federation, we all teamed up to have an environmental assessment survey project. And so we went and recruited the students in the high school to see who were interested in participating in this survey project. And what they did, they surveyed the community about environmental concerns. They came up with the questions and everything. Only thing we did as adults was help support them in their leadership role. Well, Evan was so quiet. He didn't hardly talk, but he came to all the meetings, participated. And then now to watch him 3 years later, how he has grown and matured, and some of the questions he was asking so confident. I was like, is this the same Evan from 9th grade year? And he said, yes, ma'am, it is. And I was just so impressed. And even they have continued on with having a Earth Tomorrow club, environmental club. These are young people talking about the environment and have a club at the high school, at Forest Park High School. And so he invited me to come, and I, myself and a couple of other adults who've been supporting, we're going to go to their last meeting they're having for the year, just to see when you plant a seed with our young people. It might not seem like it's growing, and it might not seem like they're paying attention, but that's our future. And now I can see 3 years later, for me doing something, then taking out time once a week, every Thursday, we would go for 1 hour. We would go for 1 hour to the school to meet with them. And one of the teachers as well that helped at Forest Park High School. So when you think about all the sacrifices of time that was made, and now to see 3 years later, to see how this young man has blossomed, and not blossomed, but has grown, because we blossom as young ladies. So this young man, he has grown. And then when I asked him what college he was going to, he told me a college here in Georgia. And I asked him what was his major. He said political science. Wow, who would have thought that he wanted to major in political science? And and he said, yeah, it was from meeting you and participating in this this environment assessment project, that I was able to gain confidence. So, when you hear those stories, even if it's just one person that has been affected by something that you've done, and you feel like your work that you've done and all the sacrifices, all the headaches, all the scrutiny that you received, like myself, and there's so many decisions that were made, but it was worth it to see that Evan has grown. And even Talia, who was another student that I met when she was a freshman. And so just to see them conducting this forum, I was just so amazed. But good job, Deidre Poindexter, who was one of the lead people that headed off this student candidate forum. And now this past Saturday, I was a co-host with Chief Emmanuel Adeyemo for the 3rd annual Yoruba Resolution Day Cultural Celebration. And it was held virtually this year. And Yoruba tribe is one of the largest African tribes with so many different talent and things that they have done and contributed to over the years. And so we were blessed that we had 2 kings to join us online, virtual from Nigeria. And it was amazing because, it was very interactive and very intercultural, I would say, because they spoke in their Yoruba language, and then they spoke in English, and they went back and forth. And the information and history that they were sharing, as an African American, we don't know that much about our history and not our culture and what happens in Africa, except for what we may have seen on TV. And most of the time that was not true. And so having this type of event, when the idea came up, was to making sure to merge or try to unite both continents. So being able to unite those who are actually from Africa, still living in Africa, those in the diaspora, which was people that are originally born in Africa that now live in America, and then those of us African Americans who have not, that only knows about that we are from Africa, but not a whole lot of other information. And so that's the goal of this project that we're working on, and we're going to have some more. We did a roundtable discussion. So just being able to hear about the markings that you see a lot of times those that are from Africa may have on their faces. We didn't understand that one of the kings shared with us that those markers were very important because of slavery. And so when slaves were taken, so that they would know what tribe they came from, you could look at the markings on their face. And some people I've seen have real deep markings, and some you won't be able to see it unless you're real close up to their face, you'll be able to see the markings. But they're distinguished markings that you wouldn't even think about if you didn't know. And so there's a lot of other information they shared about the respect for them in their different kingdoms. and how you have to prostrate when you're approaching the king. So the first thing I thought about was, okay, when we go to England, people who go to England and they visit Queen Elizabeth, guess what? That's part of protocol. They have to prostrate, bend down for respect. So the same thing is even in their tradition that they're keeping up even centuries later when it comes down to visiting the king. So it was a huge honor for me to be able to just be in the place and the opportunity. So you are going to see more about it. We will also, I have a new sister, I call her. She was there online from the United Kingdom, and we talk a lot. And Kirksey, thank you, Penny. And so we talk a lot, and she was the one that was moderating the actual round table, and it was talking about how culture is influencing the people now. How does culture influence us today? And they talked about the dress. What's the meaning of the dress, the attire that they wear? Oh, it was just so much. And so, it was a short program within an hour, but it's just so much. So we're gonna have it again. And last year the roundtable discussion was about family. And one of the questions, of course, is, is it customary? Do kings still have many wives? And so that was a long conversation that we had last year, but we didn't do that this year. But one of the people that were viewing said, make sure you ask about those wives. And so we all laughed. But that was that one, that particular event. And so look for more information. I have my passport. I am ready. I have it on the top of my list this year to go and visit Nigeria, to be able to be immersed into the culture. I love history, and also through social and business relationships. So y'all be on the lookout. Next announcement, 7 Pillars of Career Academy Charter School is still having their Wipe It Clean, Mission Wipe It Clean project. They have Clorox wipes that they're asking you to make a donation to receive, so that money goes toward the cost of relocation and repurposing of the facility. They will occupy the new school year, so they don't have that long before school is out, and they need you. So call 404-500-1294, and you can Google 7 Pillars Career Academy. Primary election is May the 24th. Make sure you look for your absentee, get your absentee ballot by contacting your county voter registrar's office. Check your voter status. So you want to know if you registered to vote for this primary, go to mvp.sos.ga.gov, or you can just Google My Voter Page Georgia, and you can get a sample ballot, so that way you'll know who you're going to vote for. And that gives you an opportunity to look up those people, their candidates that are on that ballot. And hopefully if you're in Congressional District 5, you already know Stovall, that's all. So now we're down to the say what. So I want to start out by saying this part of this segment, just this part, is going out to all the baby mamas. I got love for all the baby mamas. I don't know if y'all remember that song by Fantasia some years ago. Well, I was a single parent raising 2 children from birth to adulthood because I just had to raise them on my own because of choices that were made by their father. So yes, I received child support and needed all of it. But I can't imagine an elected official not supporting his children with child support as needed, and also running for office. I know that that salary was a minimum at least $175,000. And also whatever other positions that the person is currently holding. So, I always wonder, how can someone take care of their children, of our children and our families, if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing for their children? So you can look in, and anytime you go to court, it's always open records, court records is always public. You can Google the person's name and Google what the case was, and you're able to read all of that. Only time that you usually are not able to read it if it's a juvenile case because they're underage. So definitely the person that's running for U.S. Senate, you all should look into it. If you don't believe, you can Google it. It'll come up, and you can Google and see what else is going on with it. Now, so I'm gonna say what? Yeah, they go out to all the baby mamas. So the next thing is Atlanta Press Club. The Atlanta Press Club held a couple of debates this weekend. And guess who will not be on the debate so far? It will not host the Congressional District 5, and that is the race that I am in. And the significance, District 5 and 13 are two of the predominantly Black districts with voters that are registered in those districts. And when you look on there, as far as the other that they are featuring on there, it's not equal representation across the board. And when Atlanta Press Club, those who are on the committee, they were questioned and asked. They said that Congressional District 5 and 13 were not competitive districts, and they were races that they didn't consider to be contested. So I want to know, what is considered to be competitive and contested? Is it because some of us who are in the race could not raise the amount of money that some of the other people in the races are? Well, that's not fair. We definitely need to look at a reform when it comes down to campaign financing, because what happens, people like myself and others who are considered the underdogs in the race, if we don't create platforms for us to get our voices out, then the average voter will never hear about us. There's no way. And so that's what I expressed to the representative from the Atlanta Press Club. And they bragged about the press club being the top organization that's hosting these type of forums across the nation. And I told her that's the very reason why you should be fair and have all the races on there. If you're not going to have all of them on there, you shouldn't have none on there, because you are now voter suppression. You are suppressing the voters, because now you're deciding for them who they need to hear and whose voices are going to be on the platform. That's a say what? Yes. So, I used to have a lot of respect for the Atlanta Press Club and those that were involved in it. I lost all that respect a little bit in 2020 because they split up, all of us being on the stage together for that debate when I ran for U.S. Senate. And now you didn't even hear anything about the U.S. Senate race. And there are two Democrats that are on the ballot, but you hear a lot about the Republican race, and they were going to do a forum for them. What about the two Democrats that are the only two Democrats in the U.S. Senate race? So that's a say what? It sounds like something that's just not right about the whole thing. That is voter suppression. So what we need you all to do is contact Atlanta Press Club. And when we reached out to GPB, who's going to be airing it, they sent a letter back saying that it wasn't them deciding that. And if Atlanta Press Club wanted more time, that they were willing to give them more time and more space. They had extra space. So I wonder who's behind what when it comes to that. We haven't had a debate. Myself and the other two opponents have not had a stage to have a forum to talk about our issues and even question each other. Do I think this is going to happen? Probably not, because even these large major organizations, nor none of the TV stations are picking up anything that has to do with Congressional District 5. They have not said anything. And I listen all the time to Georgia Gang. They have not said anything about Congressional District 5. So it seems like everybody has closed their mouths and gone silent on Congressional District 5. But that's where you come in. We're going to have to spread the word like the Underground Railroad. Remember that people didn't know what was going on with the Underground Railroad. So that's what we're going to have to do about this Congressional District 5 race for Stovall. So, time has called us, but we will be back next show. And I'm going to go back and say what? Yes, say what? We got to spread the word on our own. Our next show will be Monday, May the 16th at 4 p.m. I don't have the number to the press club, but I guarantee if you Google Atlanta Press Club, it will come up. It's the one they talk about, the Laudermill series. And call them and ask them, why are you not doing any kind of forum for Congressional District 5? The incumbent who's in there now has not had a Democratic primary race. The last time she was appointed to this position. So she has not had a race where you as the voters and the Democratic on the Democratic side have been able to decide do you want this person to represent you? It was decided by a handful of folks. That was done behind the room, behind the table. It was done before it even got up to the public. And I sat in even on the meeting and watched how it was all conducted. There were over 100 and something people that even applied for being able to be nominated. And it could have been an actual election taking place if that's what the Democratic Party wants. This person still serves as the chair of the Democratic Party while serving as a congressional district person. There's no way that you can be able to make sure that you're rightfully and honestly serving everybody, having two positions, two paid positions that you're serving. So the number to the press club is 404-577-7377. That's 404-577-7377. Give them a call and tell them that you want to know why Congressional District 5 is not on that debate stage so she can answer to the people. So you can hide all you want to, and you don't have to have no appearance anywhere. You haven't seen her anywhere. And if she has, we've never been in the same location. The Emma Park Festival that was held last weekend, I was there. Of course, she was there much later. There was a parade yesterday at the County Line Ellenwood Parade. Her name was featured on there as one of the grand marshals, but nobody seen her. She didn't come. We were there in full force with our orange and white. So you all need to ask that question because you are the voters. And if you want to ask about 13, that's up to you as well. But call them and question them on why they're not featuring the 2 districts out of the 14 congressional districts that represent you in the federal government in Washington, D.C., that 2 of the predominantly African-American held districts are not on the Atlanta Press Club debate circuit. All right. So I thank you all again. The goals of issues and answers with yours truly, Stovall, is to educate you on those things you might not think about unless you are in a situation to be concerned. And we're in a situation to be concerned. If you have any show ideas and you'd like to contact me, you can contact me at contact@ghoststovall.com. That's CONTACT@ghoststovall.com. We appreciate your time and we look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks. And you all be blessed, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time.